that fortunately the government embraces technology. So we have many agencies, government agencies that provide grants and support to startups. Compared to other developing countries. So being a Malaysian, I think, this is something that I'm very happy the government is actually putting a lot of effort to help the youth, especially, build their dreams. Why FinTech Lab? We always believe that for Ficus to be a successful VC, getting good leads is crucial. And I love competition, I love pitches and all this, but I always have this dilemma of when someone asks me to be a judge, right? So everybody prepares and go up a stage and pitch for 5 minutes, and then we as judges have to decide the fate of these people, whether you are going to win the prize or you're going to be the spotlight, the first top 3 out of the hundreds that participated. Frankly, that 5 minutes, you can impress me, but sometimes, someone just have a very good product or a company, but it's just not his day, right? So sometimes life is not really fair. But so we feel that for us to really get good exit, it's not just about the beautiful pitch deck and all this. After 20 years of investing, we cannot agree more that the real driver is really the team. So we would love to spend more time with the team. And one of the easier way to do that is basically to basically embrace the team at early stage, because VCs don't look at early stage companies like pre-revenue. So having an accelerator actually help us to funnel the potential investing companies. And also because I love education, and I felt that some of the accelerators around the world, they basically have very good programs. They teach you all the technical stuff that you need to learn, that you need to know, but there are certain things that they don't teach. Soft skills, or what I call essential skills, like, basic things. Because we are so, busy making sure that our decks and our finances look so good. But the one presenting the deck does not, the character, the aura doesn't match the deck. The deck looks super high class and like it's done by consulting Deloitte or PwC. But the one presenting, the confidence, the body gestures, and the way he or she communicates with the potential investors is just not there. So for FinTech Lab, that's one area we focus on. And FinTech Lab is actually quite young. We're about 2 years old, but I'm very thankful to my very hardworking team on the ground that we have managed to really conduct lots of very impactful programs. We chose to actually address the micro SMEs instead of the blockchain startups, that they can join any accelerators in the world. But FinTech Lab is specifically focused on micro SMEs. We recently just finished a pilot program in Sabah, in the East, where we take on about 10 micro entrepreneurs. And they basically, some of them do not know how to speak English, but I can speak Malay and my team can, so it's fine. And they have decent products, but they lack of self-confidence. They don't have a brand story. They're just selling in expos. But little did they know that they were, because of they are doing all these handicrafts and all this, right? They actually give work to their community up in a mountain and all this. But they do not know that they are actually local heroes until we told them, do not apologize to anyone that because you came from, a community up in the mountain, therefore you are second class. You're not, actually. You're doing great things that even people like us in the city can't do. So I was very glad that we managed to take them on. And now, they just graduated recently. The program is funded by an agency called Mari, that basically wants to the micro SMEs and single mom and very backward industries to adopt technology. So just a few days ago, because they were so pleased with the progress of these 10 entrepreneurs. Some of them actually managed to sell their products overseas. There were like a group of them that managed to export as well, even they are very little. So Marie has actually said that they want to continue this program through FinTech Lab and our curated curriculum. And they are going to probably roll it out to 1,000 micro entrepreneurs, which is a very good achievement for FinTech Lab. Yeah, so for FinTech Lab, I think the focus is really on micro SMEs, because we as the founders felt that the calling is really to help micro entrepreneurs, and then hopefully after working with them for a period of time, we can also build good pipelines for Ficus.
Truly well said, Rina, and what a moving story. Interpersonal skills as well as the soft skills, I think those are very, very crucial things, and it's great that FinTech Lab is really trying to cultivate those skills for the local founders.
Yes, because I think it's easy when you have founders with tech backgrounds and all this, but sometimes when you're just a normal business, sometimes who wants to invest in you and who wants to give you a chance very much depends on basic things like manners, whether you have decency, whether you are sincere, and these are the things that I don't think any if you go to any accelerators they will point it out. So what we did was really we basically record their pitches from day one. I made them tell me about their brand, 2 minutes, and for every step of it, right, I want them to see the progress, because how you present yourself, the first time, determines a lot of things. So I'm very glad that when they finish the program, they're able to actually stand in front of the audience, tell their story so convincing, because they really believe in it, but perhaps they do not know how to put it in words, right? That's where we come in and say, so I have my team sitting down with them, creating logos for them, helping them get their products on board the e-commerce site. And throughout this process, they learn, and they actually, feel that now they're more clear about what they are selling, what is so unique about their product, because previously they were just selling like everybody else in the wet market. So I guess the satisfaction was really to give them a platform and to tell them that, hey, you're doing great things, and this great thing, although now is in Sabah, it could be in the whole of Malaysia, and soon perhaps in the region. So for me at this stage of my life, I think be able to really do my little part and supporting these micro entrepreneurs is greater than of course finding a unicorn and just having a financial gain through the investments. But I'm realistic. I have portfolios that are pure financial because you just have to balance your portfolio strategy as an investor. But if you ask me, I really love to work with these micro entrepreneurs.
Now I want to take a moment to really focus on this question. What is it like being a woman-focused investor in ASEAN, and more specifically Malaysia?
Well, being a career woman is definitely not easy because of the expectation from the society, and especially women in the investment industry or capital market, if you liked. Definitely not easy. There are situations that you just have to learn how to navigate when you are meeting with your peers, your investors, and your colleagues. Especially in Asia, women because of the education systems, because of the upbringing. For example, if I were to climb the trees, my mom would be scolding me. But if my brother climbs a tree, it's pretty all right. And so from young, I guess that how the parenting styles and your environment does have, some form of, influence in in the girl's life when they're growing up. So for me, it wasn't that difficult because during my early childhood, my parents, they were separated. So my mom was busy with her, just putting food on the table. So I'm pretty much left alone. So nobody scolds me for climbing trees and doing, silly things. So that sort of like really mold my characters. And I've been always, sort of like have self-confidence in myself because I just have to do things, myself. So that I think is the biggest influence in my career. I'm always not afraid to speak up, which I find very rare in the Asian context, because in our education system is always the teacher saying, this, and then you just have to take and accept what it is. So education and context is very important. And when I grew up, I was very fortunate to have worked with very good mentors. And fortunately, most of them are men. They are much, much older, business tycoon that also gave me lots of mentoring session when I had difficulty, in some situations. Truth be told, I think when I work with men, they are very focused on the subject matter. They don't take any arguments or any, disagreement to heart. Like I think if I'm going to say this, I think some women would probably throw eggs at me. But sometimes women, we are built that way. We tend to take small little things to heart, and we tend to zoom into micro things. But we sometimes forget to look at the big picture. So the training that I've got from my mentors, I think also helped in shaping, my character, my perception about things. So being an investor, angel investor in Southeast Asia, there are very few women angel investors. Most of the time, what I notice is when women have spare cash, they would love to start their own businesses. So we have actually many women female founders around. And one of the challenges is that we have a lot of female founders that intend to keep their businesses to themselves. So there is no intention to expand it because we don't take risks. A good example would be like, I always use this example. My mom would go to the neighbor and borrow a pinch of salt. When she needs to return, she will top it up with maybe a cake or something else. So women, when it comes to fundraising, women don't like to borrow money. Women don't like to take, favors from people. So that leads to the question of, the question that always thrown to me, like being an angel investor and being a women entrepreneur. I think one of the biggest challenges that women has is when it comes to fundraising. And there was statistics that actually pointed that, even in Silicon Valley, the percentage of women founders getting funded is very low compared to the guys. Just because I think is the expectation. And if women were to do a little bit of homework before meeting the investors, for example, if you meet a VC, you know that a VC has to return a certain percentage to their limited partners or their investors. If a woman goes to the VC and say, I only need $5,000 and I will use the $5,000 very carefully, and in 5 years, I'm going to return you $7,000. Although the product, the services, all the business idea is so cool and I love this to invest in this women, I can't because I have a mandate. I need to look at companies that can give me, this return that is expected of me. And that doesn't just fit into the VC world. So perhaps a good angel investors will be sort of like have that kind of appetite.